Emma and this is ERA today. So today I actually wanted to do a quick, really fun and cute DIY video. I really have to give it up to all the people who actually do DIY videos because this was way harder and took way longer to put together than I ever thought it would. Sorry for my hair, I just finished filming and then jumped in the shower and then quickly wanted to do the intro and outro video, so now my face is done but my hair is not dry yet, so sorry for this little mess. Let me know in the comments down below if you liked this video and I will try to do another one. Alright, so for this first DIY, what you're going to want to do is grab some paint, paintbrush, clips, decal paper, and a wooden board. If you can't cut your own like I did, then you can actually go to somewhere like Home Depot or Canadian Tire and they will cut the board for you. So cover up your workspace just to make sure everything's safe and grab your tools. We're going to actually paint the edge of our wooden board with whatever color paint you choose to use. I chose silver because the walls of my room are actually silver, so that should match up pretty nicely. If you aren't lazy like me, you can wrap the decal paper around the edges of your board, but again, I'm lazy and didn't do that. This is what you should end up with, and now you're going to want to grab your decal paper. You can see that the edges of the paper actually have a whole bunch of measurements and lines on it, and it has instructions in all different languages. It's easy to use, don't worry about it. Once you cut out your piece, make sure that everything lines up and you don't have to trim off any excess. If you're happy with that, then you can start peeling away the edge of your decal paper, just like this. Match up the edge of your decal paper with the edge of your board and start peeling the backing off. If it doesn't quite work, then you can always peel it off a little bit and start again. Slide your hand along the paper as you pull the backing off to keep as few air bubbles in there as possible. You can go ahead and grab something flat. I used a coaster to slide out any air bubbles that may be left. Now we're going to work on the clips. Whichever clip you end up using, if you can find one in a color, that's great. My area didn't seem to have any colored clips, so I went with a black and then grabbed some acrylic paint in a really pretty spring color and started to paint it. This may take a couple of coats. The first one will go on a little bit transparent, but afterwards you will get an opaque color. In the end, I didn't actually use the colored clips I made and painted one in silver instead. But as you can see, you can do any color that you want and anything that really will pop in your room. I took one of the clips I didn't end up using and pulled the side off of it. This is what I decided I wanted to use as a hanging method for my board. So here all you have to do is grab some hot glue and hot glue it on. It'll only take a couple of seconds to dry and you'll be ready to use it. I pulled mine off last minute and decided to have a vertical hang versus a horizontal hang. Now all that's left is to grab your now dry clip, a pin, and figure out where you want your clip to hang. If you need to, go ahead and grab an adult and they will help you push the pin into the board if it's a little bit tough, but it's really not that difficult. So, how do we go? Alright, so for this next DIY, you're going to want to grab a frame, some paint, paintbrush, and some fabrics. So this first part is entirely optional. As you can see, the back of my frame is actually fairly dark, and I was worried that it would show through when I put the fabrics on. So if you're using dark or a very opaque fabric, then you probably don't have to worry about this part. But if you are using a sheer or a very light fabric, then go ahead and pull the backing of your frame off. This is the thing that we're actually going to be painting. And make sure that you're super careful and get an adult to help you if you need to pull the glass out. When I was being all fancy and spun the glass right here, I actually cut my right hand open. Now, what you're going to want to do is grab whatever color, light colored white or pastels, anything that you want to use, and you go ahead and paint that onto the backs of your frame. So the fabric I was using were actually pillowcases I found for 99 cents at Value Village. They were super cheap and easy, and I slid the glass right into the corner of the white pillowcase. This showed me exactly where I needed to cut to pull the excess fabric off, so I did that and set the rest of the pillowcase aside for later. With this second pillowcase, I already knew exactly which part of the fabric I wanted to use, so I didn't bother measuring and I just cut that section right off. Now, just like the first step, this is also optional. I went ahead and sewed the glass right into my pillowcase to make sure that it wasn't going to be moving around. If you have a snug pillowcase though, or a snug frame, then you're not going to have to worry about this and everything will stay in place to make sure that it looks good. Once I was done, I only went halfway down the side because I couldn't be bothered to finish. So for these pillowcases right here, I just wanted to use the top edges. So I went ahead and cut down both sides so that I would have two finished edges that I could use on my frame. Once I was done, I set those aside to work with later. Now all that's left is to make sure the pattern I wanted to work with. So I knew that I wanted to have a strip of white, my floral fabric, and then finally another strip of white. If you're unsure, you can play around with the pattern for a bit, but once you're happy with it, go ahead and iron all the pieces that are going to be showing and then slide it right into your frame. Flip that over, put the backing on, and make sure you're careful. You are working with glass here, so you want to make sure that you don't actually crack or break the glass inside, because that can slide out and hurt you later. So, how did we go? So for this final DIY, you're going to need a dowel, some yarn, paint, paintbrush, and a measuring tape. Go ahead and grab your yarn because we are making some pom-poms. These are the three things you're going to need, so go ahead and unspool some yarn. Grab the end of your yarn and hold that down onto the prongs of your fork with your thumb. You can wrap it around and you'll be able to let go pretty soon. So for me, I wrapped mine around 60 times and that gave me a nice decent sized pom-pom, but it will vary depending on how big or how small you want your pom-pom to be. Once you're done, go ahead and cut the end of your yarn off, and then you're gonna cut a second piece that's at least 5 or 6 inches long to work with. Slide that new piece of yarn through the middle prongs of your fork. Slide it through, and then you're going to go ahead and tie it again through the top section of the middle prongs of your fork. Once that's nice and tight, slide it off your fork, and then you're going to tie it so that it's double knotted and totally secure. Now grab your scissors and grab your pom-pom in the making, and you're gonna go ahead and cut through all the loops that you just made. It's time consuming, but when you're done, you should end up with this. Now we want to give our pom-pom a haircut to make sure that everything is even and we don't have any long or awkwardly short strands. So go ahead and cut all that off, and once you do that 5 times, you should end up with something that looks like this. Now moving on to the tassel. You're gonna wanna grab a book or cardboard. A book is easier because you're gonna have this edge right here. Take a 5 or 6 inch piece of yarn, slide it right into the edge of the book, and grab onto the rest of your yarn. Now you're gonna go ahead and hold the end of your yarn onto the end of your book and wrap it around, anywhere from 20 to 40 times. I did 30, and again, that gave me a nice medium-sized tassel. Once you're done, you're gonna go ahead and cut the edge of your yarn off, and then grab that piece of yarn that we put in first, and we're gonna tie a nice tight double knot. Once it's tight, you can go ahead and slide it off the book, and just like the pom-pom, we are now going to cut all the loops that we just made. Now grab another 5 or 6 inch piece of yarn, and we're going to tie that around the head of our tassel. Once it's nice and tight, you're going to get a more refined look. Now, just like the pom-pom, we are going to want to give our tassel a haircut so that all the ends are the same length. So go ahead and hold it nice and tight and start trimming. Once that's done 5 times, you should end up with these. Now, for the sake of time, I have already cut and painted my dowel. So again, I chose silver just because that's the color of my walls, and I went ahead and cut my dowel to exactly 13 inches long. Now, you're going to want to grab a marker so that you can start marking off where you want the strands of the project to be. I knew the dead center was going to be 6.5 inches, so I went and marked that one first, and then I counted out 2 inches to the left and 2 inches to the right, doing this twice so that I'd have 5 strands total and still have room on either side of the dowel to be able to hang up my project afterwards. For hanging, all you're going to have to do is grab a piece of yarn, whatever length that you want it to be, and tie it to both ends of your dowel and then hang it up on a screw. Now, all you're going to want to do is grab your tassels and your pom-poms and go ahead and work out the design that you want for your project. Did you want a straight line, a random look, a shape of a V, an upside down V? Really, you can do anything. Now for mine, I figured out I wanted 8 inches in length for the 2 outside ones, 10 inches in length for the 2 inside ones, and 12 inches in length for the middle one. Somehow I managed to lose the footage, but for tying on your strands, all you're gonna have to do is double the length of the strand that you want and add at least 2 to 3 inches in length so that you have some wiggle room. Fold it in half and then place it over the dowel. Sliding your fingers through the loop, grab the 2 strands at the end and pull it back through the loop so it's nice and tight. Slide it up or down the dowel until you have it exactly where you want it, and then pull it so it's nice and taut. Go ahead and grab your pom-pom or tassel that you're working with and tie it, double knotting it nice and tight to the strand. Once that's done, you're going to be able to still slide the tassel up or down on your strand until you have everything where you want it. Once you've done all 5, you can actually hang it up to see that it's all in the right place, and once you're done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. At this point, you're going to want to grab some scissors and start trimming off all of your ends. Make sure that beforehand all of your tassels and all of your pom-poms are nice and tight, and if you're worried about movement, you can go ahead and add a dab of glue. So, how did we go? That's all I have for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me leave a like and a comment down below so I know that you enjoyed it. I'm Emma, and this has been the area today. Bye guys.